your head, oh, I see it on paper, I know what I did wrong. So now I can fix it because I know what I did wrong. But awareness was never meant to be the solution. That is why on the first of the month, you can write down a problem. And then 30 days later, you're writing down that exact same problem. And then a month later, you're writing down that exact same problem again. It's because awareness only names the problem. When you're aware of something, you're aware of a problem, you're aware of something that you're doing, that doesn't interrupt the thing that you're doing. So you know that you're emotional, but you can still click the button, even though you're aware of it. You can recognize that you have the urge to want to trade, and then you can still go and trade, even though you know you're not supposed to. You can literally predict a mistake that you're going to make and repeat it anyways. That is not a lack of intelligence. It is a lack of containment. And you're going to journaling thinking that it's going to give you the structure and the containment that you need. But the traders that I work with didn't suddenly gain more insight. They did not become smarter or more intelligent. I only work with traders that already know how to trade. What they did is they stopped relying on awareness to control their behavior because it simply doesn't work like that. It's never going to stop your behavior just because you now notice it. So if you've ever said, I don't know why I took that trade, and you wrote down in your journal or thought to yourself, I knew better, right? I want you to comment down below the word state and see how many people are also dealing with that same thing. And if it feels like your best intentions always disappear the moment the 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the markets are open, as soon as it becomes Monday and now it's time to trade and all your intentions go out the window, it's because the decisions do not start on the chart. They start within you. And every day that you ignore that being the fact, it's going to continue to perpetuate itself. It's going to keep happening. So I want to give you 3 things that you can do immediately to interrupt this before the charts ever get involved. There's a private training that is linked in my description box that explains it clearly. It's free to watch. Definitely go watch it. You might just think that your losses are always the market's fault, from the news to volatility to the reversals and all that stuff. But the brutal truth is that even the most perfect setup that's waiting right there with 600% gains, waiting for you to just snatch it right up, can still be completely messed up. And most traders don't even realize that. So chasing after better setups, better strategies, and better indicators may not be the problem, because I see it every single day with students who are legitimately intelligent in trading. They know how to trade. They know their setups and their risk. They know their trading math. It's all there. And yet they keep blowing accounts. The reason why is because the trade itself is not the problem. It's how they approach it internally. And by the end of this video, you're going to see why any trade, no matter how clean, how A+, how perfect it is, can still be ruined, and what to do instead of just throwing more money at it. If you want to hear what I have to say on this topic, make sure to subscribe to this channel and smash the like button so that you don't miss other videos like this. And if you want to take this topic deeper, I have a private training you can watch for free. It's the first link in the description box. I'm going to break this video down into parts. Part number 1, the market is not your enemy. The market doesn't care about you. I'm so sorry, but it's not out to get you. The reality is most traders are going to blame the market anyways. But if you actually think about it, every single loss you've ever had, doesn't matter how many of them, but were they all because of the market? Sure, some news hit that you weren't aware of. There were some setups that were invalidated, but the majority of blown trades and losses are you. It's your behavior. It's your approach. It's your internal state. And I want you to take a second and really consider that. Any trade you make, perfect or not, can be ruined if your brain is in the wrong place. And the part that shocks people is that you can know how to trade and still be in the wrong state. That's when the greenest trades turn red. And that's when your discipline is going to collapse. And when you justify just one more trade or justify over leveraging. Part number 2 on why your internal state is going to change everything for you, because it changed everything for me. I call it your internal state. And what I mean is the way that your brain feels and reacts while trading. Are you focused? Are you calm? Are you neutral? Are you carrying a frustration? Agreed. There's some boredom. fear from the last trade, it doesn't matter. But even one tiny misalignment in your state is enough to blow a trade. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. You can see all of the signals and the math and the risk, and it will not matter if your brain and your mind is not aligned. You will make decisions you don't even notice until after the fact. But most traders don't even stop to check this. They trade because they know how. You know how to trade. They think that's enough. You know how to read a chart. You think that's enough. But the thing is, knowing how to trade is not the same thing as trading with intention. And so if you keep thinking your losses are the market, you're never going to get this. You're always going to blind yourself and feel like, oh, it's the market's fault. You're never going to actually want to look at this. But the market is a mirror of your internal state. And every loss is a reflection of the trader that you brought to the market. And the myth of fixing the loss, which is part 3. This is where most people get trapped. Because you take a loss and your first thought is, I need to get this money back. So you add more money to your account, or you push your leverage, or you reset your account and you push harder and you chase setups. And the worst part is that you feel like this is logical, because it is, because you already know how to trade. So why wouldn't you go? If you know how to trade, why wouldn't you just go back and try again? But the problem is you think you can brute force it. And that's exactly the wrong approach, because more money does not fix a misaligned internal state. Money can't fix that. Continuing a trade doesn't fix that. Trading again doesn't fix that. All those things do is stack more mistakes on top of the first one. And the kicker, really the funny part, the better you get at trading, the easier it is to lie to yourself. Because you can see the setup, you know the math, you've done this before, you've made profitable trades. You can rationalize literally everything. You can literally rationalize something that's completely misaligned. And that's where even the most profitable strategies are going to fail, when your state is not aligned. I made a video about the 2 types of losses. There's only 2 types of losses. A loss is either the market invalidating a perfect setup, or it was you breaking the rules. There's only 2 types of losses. The critical insight is that neither of them are fixed by taking another trade. None of them are fixed by adding more money or reducing or increasing your risk. Your job is not to fix those trades. Your job is to align yourself before the next trade. And in that video, I go deeply into how to do specific solutions for both types of losses, because they're not the same. You might be trying to fix one type of loss with a different type of solution, and it's never going to work. So watch that video to know what strategy to use for what type of loss. But the market is literally a probabilistic environment. Nothing is broken in the market. The companies and industries and the institutions making multi-million dollars every day don't care about your 10K month. They're not trying to get you out of the game. Nothing needs to be fixed, because nothing is broken. And when you lose, actually nothing needs to be restored. The only thing that matters is your execution over time. And that starts with you, not your trades. Part number 5, how to actually start aligning. So how do you stop blowing accounts even when you know how to trade? You start by checking your internal state before every trade, mentally, physically, emotionally. You ask yourself very simple questions. Am I trading because I want money? Am I trading because I need validation? Or because I'm bored? Or because I'm calm? Or actually, I feel really neutral. I'm just ready to execute my plan. Because if you're not aligned, don't touch the charts, even if the setup is perfect, because you will mess it up and you will leave your money on the table. You'll leave profit on the table. You'll make profit and go give it back. And even if that opportunity seems huge and you don't want to miss it, you're so much better off waiting until you feel neutral, because it's cheaper to trade that way. It's a very expensive problem I'm solving on this channel. And this is not about discipline. It's about structural alignment. It's about actual structure. And your nervous system will guide your success, or it can guide your failures if you let it. But if you want me to walk you through the exact framework my students use, and I use it too, to stay aligned, stop overtrading, I want you to check out the free private training that's linked in my description box. It's the first link in there. For part number 6, we're going to discuss some common internal traps. We're going to talk about some red flags. You can watch this video for the top 10 red flags of traders who are about to blow their account. Here's what I see every single day. Traders who are experienced and know how to trade, but still blow accounts. because they ignore internal flags. Though number one is emotional entanglement from previous trades. Two, overconfidence after a green day or a green week and you ignore risk. You risk everything. Number three is frustration after a loss and trying to go get it back immediately. Number four, being ego-driven, having ego-driven trading, proving that you're right instead of trying to prove yourself you can follow the rules. And number five is lack prioritization. You are trading for excitement, not strategy. You actually care more about these opportunities instead of your profit. That's just a summary. I recommend you go watch the 10 red flags video. But if you recognize those flags in yourself, when they pop up, you can actually change them in real time. And that is where your P&L actually starts to show the trader you actually want to be. The truth is so simple that any trade can be messed up if your internal state is off. It doesn't matter. The most profitable traders succeed not because they're smarter or luckier. Succeed because we can control ourselves. We can control the thing that matters the most, and that is ourselves. So we're going to stop blaming ourselves and we're going to start just observing ourselves and catch ourselves in real time. If this video hit home for you, I have the free private training that walks you through the exact alignment steps, the exact checks, alignments, and frameworks that my students use to stop overtrading and start trading as a neutral trader. The link is in the description, and I invite you to watch it right now. It's a very short video, about 15 minutes. Grab a snack and watch it before the day is over. Most day traders believe they lose money because they misread the market. My entry was wrong. It's because my stop loss was off. If that were true, if that were like the only reason, then improvement would be very simple. You would just fix the setup. You would just learn more. You would optimize the strategy and just fix it until it worked. Yet, most traders already know what they should do. They just don't do it. And that's why improvement isn't as what it seems. Like, this contradiction is the clue, because the truth is very, very uncomfortable. The majority of trading decisions are made before analysis ever begins. It's not conscious. It's not logical either. It's all emotional. Every single trade comes from an emotional internal state. A psychological posture that you're in is going to determine what happens when you open the chart, because your internal state is going to decide what you notice, what you ignore, what feels obvious to you, what feels urgent. So two traders can literally look at the same chart, the same ticker, and one waits very patiently, and the other one's going to force an entry. Same market, same data, two different internal states in the same exact market. And that is why post-market journaling fails majority of the time, because it assumes the decision happened during the analysis, and it doesn't. It happens before the analysis. So I'm going to slow this down, and in this video, I'm going to break down about your last impulsive trade. Don't look at your last worst trade. Look at your last impulsive trade that didn't feel clean. Before you entered, were you calm? Were you trying to make back a loss? Were you bored? Were you riding confidence from last week because you won a lot last week and you feel like you're just that guy or that girl? Most traders can't answer that question. It's not because there was no internal state. It's because you're not acknowledging it. And honestly, emotion does not announce itself. It doesn't say, hey, I am feeling very frustrated right now and I'm about to override your entire plan. This is an A+ setup, but I'm about to make you lose everything you made last week. And we don't notice it. And that's why awareness is so hard, because it is intentional. It's like a very intentional decision. And that's why before every trade, you have to stop for 5 seconds. You don't analyze, you don't put any key levels, you don't rationalize, you don't adjust the charts, you don't pull up 2 tickers to start just watching stuff. You first look at yourself and you label your internal state with one word. Are you confident? Do you feel rushed? Do you feel bored? Are you on a time constraint? You're trying to force a trade into a time window. Do you feel hopeful? Do you feel detached? Do you feel frustrated? Just label it with one word before you ever look at a chart, because your internal state is going to dictate what happens on that chart. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, you can still blow an account if your internal state is frustrated and you're trying to force a trade. And the reason why this works is because when you're naming an emotion, it creates separation. The moment you label it, you now are observing it. You're now aware of it. And that small pause, whether it's 5-10 seconds, is literally what can save your account. And most day traders skip it because it feels very soft. It feels very simple. I've come so far. You're telling me to just not do a trading thing. You're telling me just sit for 5 seconds and think about my internal state. Because this is, the resistance is literally what's going to tell you what the problem is. Because under pressure, this is where control disappears. The deeper truth is that you do not need better discipline. You don't need more journaling. You don't need more praying. You don't need more meditating. You need to be more aware of how you feel earlier. Because by the time discipline shows up, the emotion has already been there. And that is what dictates what happens on the charts. And if you don't ever see that clearly, then nothing else is ever going to stick. And it's really not laziness if you haven't done this before. It's just that most traders usually skip this. And this is the foundation. Without it, every single rule is fragile. Every single rule, every single piece of experience you have cannot withstand an unaligned emotional state. This is where real change starts. If you're an experienced trader and you continue to blow accounts, I really want to invite you to watch the private training that is the first link in the description box. It's going to show you exactly why you're still doing it, although you know exactly how to trade and you have the experience, but you have a good running streak and then you lose it all. You have a great running streak and then you can't seem to make a win. It's going to explain that directly to you. I want you to comment down below the last time you had an impulsive trade. I really want to continue the conversation in the comments so that I can just get to know you guys a little bit more, and I'll see you down in the comment section. I'm going to say something so simple, but if you actually want to survive long enough to make money in options trading, in futures trading, in whatever market you trade, you have to learn how to end on a good note. Not a high note, not when you start to feel invincible and you start to feel super successful and you have this ego about you. Not end when you're all hyped up and you're feeling like you're the smartest person in the earth. I'm telling you right now, if you do not learn how to stop trading, you will never be able to make it. Because money is the reward. Money is the reward that you get for your patience, for your skill, for your knowledge. Ego is not your reward. And I'm going to tell you that your bills don't take ego as a form of payment. Neither do your credit cards or any of your expenses. And most traders don't lose because they don't know how to make money. You know how to trade. They lose because they don't know how to stop making trades. You just don't know when to stop trading. And that's what this specific video is going to be all about. If you're interested in hearing what I have to say, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and like this video, because we're not talking about entries, we're not talking about strategies, we're not talking about indicators or charts, because you already know how to trade. It's about learning where to stop. I often hear this with my students in application after application for my coaching. So it's about learning where to stop, and more importantly, learning why thus far you might have refused to stop and you just feel like you just can't stop. There's this invisible pull that's been pulling you into trades. I'm gonna break this video down into sections. This first section is titled The Skill That Nobody Talks About. You have to watch the whole video to get the full idea. But there is a skill that nobody talks about in trading. It is not risk management, although I make videos on that too. I think it's super important, but it's also not discipline. It's not patience. I've made videos about all of these things, but what's so much more important is the ability to stop trading when you're already in profit. I don't really ever see traders that don't know how to trade. It's that they make a lot of money, they make profit, and it sounds really ridiculous, but then they just lose it all. And most accounts weren't blown just from already losing. They were blown from winning. You blow an account means you're losing money. You can't lose money you didn't make. So you made money and then you went and lost it. So people are making money. It's happening every single day. And then they're giving that money back to the market. And sometimes a little bit more than you would like to. Then you make more and then you give that back too. So eventually what's going to happen is you hit a drawdown that is so deep and you collapse psychologically and you start to force trades to get that money go back green. We're going to avoid all this because the real question is not How do I make money? Because you already have a strategy and you already know how to make money because you already know how to trade. The question is, how do I keep myself from undoing what I already made in the market? How do I keep the profit that I have already secured? The profit that's already mine? And the answer is not more rules. The answer is not more willpower. You cannot willpower yourself to securing more money. The answer is not more motivation and more speeches and more talks. It's about learning the one skill nobody talks about, which is learning how to end on a good note. I can make 50 videos about this one topic, but we're going to go into section number 2 to break it down a little more deeply, which is money is the reward, not your ego. If we are being really brutally honest, most of you are not trading for money. You might think you are. You might be telling yourself you are, but you're not. You're trading for emotional resolution. It sounds like a big word, but you're just trying to resolve your emotions through trading, right? You're trading to feel an emotion. You're trying to feel right. You're trying to feel smart. You're trying to feel powerful. You're trying to redeem yourself, feel like you're in control. And that's why you don't stop, because you need to resolve that emotion, and you're choosing to do it through trading. And when you stop trying to trade, it feels like you're quitting on the emotion that you're trying to resolve. And stopping feels like a literal weakness. Stopping feels like you're leaving something on the table, which is not true, because your bills, the expenses you're required to pay every single month, do not care about any of that at all. Your landlord does not accept confidence as a form of payment. Chase, Amex, Wells Fargo, Navy Federal, no credit card company is going to accept good intentions. Oh, I tried to keep my profit. I tried. No, the grocery store, Publix and Kroger are not going to accept vibes as a form of payment. They take money, they take dollars. So in trading, I want you to remember that trading is not about anything else besides money being the reward. So every time you keep trading, after you said you would stop, you are choosing ego over income. That's it. So that's the trade you're actually making. The third section I want to discuss is that trading is 180 degrees of what feels good. 180 degrees means reverse. So here's what most people get wrong in trading. Most traders, they try to trade the way that most people live. In life, optimism is rewarded. Positive thinking helps you. It keeps you in a good spirit, a good vibration, a good frequency, right? You want to focus on the things that motivate you, and you want to focus on that silver lining, the sunset, right? In life, being pessimistic feels very toxic, but in trading, it's literally the opposite. And when I learned this actually in business, but I applied it to trading, and it works here too. Because if you try to be optimistic in trading, you're going to die. If you think every trade's going to work in your favor, you're going to die. If you ignore the downside in trading, you're going to die. If you only focus on what could go right, you're going to die. This is how business works too. So in trading, survival comes from pessimism, not emotional pessimism of thinking negative about yourself, not being depressive or whatever. It comes from structural pessimism. If you don't know what that means, look it up. The constant awareness of what could go wrong. And I'm going to tell you from experience as an active trader, it feels very bad. It feels restrictive. It feels like somebody's telling you what to do. And that's the point why we want to trade, for freedom, right? But when we have to use this type of logic to make money, it feels limiting and restrictive. But that's why it works. It's literally why it works. So I'm going to explain this deeply in section number 4, why pessimism feels wrong. Okay, most of you subconsciously reject pessimism, which is okay, because we're taught that we need to have good thoughts, good vibrations, whatever. And the reason why you do this is because you associate it with negativity, because that's what we're taught to do. You think that if I focus on the downside, then I'll manifest losses. I used to think like this before I was profitable. No, if you ignore the downside, you guarantee your losses. And I need you to write that down. There's a very big difference, because in trading, pessimism is not a mindset. It's not a negative mindset. It's not a mindset at all. It's an account survival tool. Your account will blow up if you do not think like this, or if you keep rejecting thinking like this. If you keep rejecting it, it's gonna happen, right? It's the thing that tells you, I've made enough money today, I'm gonna stop. You just had 2 great large trading days in a row. Stop trading. It tells you you're emotionally elevated right now. You need to stop. You're up for the month, you're up for the week. Stop trading. And this is where profits start to lock in for you. Section number 5, I want to discuss gratitude and pessimism are the same coin. Have you ever heard of pessimism and gratitude and thought they were different? They're not opposite. They're 2 sides of the exact same coin. They are the same coin. They're the same thing. Gratitude says, I'm thankful for what I made in trading. Pessimism says, I'm aware of what I could lose. They're the same side. They're 2 different sides of the same coin. So they both lead to the same behavior, which is stopping. Doesn't matter what side of the coin you use. If you use either side, you're gonna stop. If you're grateful for what you made, you stop. If you're aware of how fragile your profits are, then you stop, especially when you understand that if you haven't sent that money to your bank account, it's still not realized. But they only work together. Those two things only work together because you cannot be grateful and reckless at the same time. You cannot be pessimistic and overconfident at the same time. I get comments on my YouTube channel all the time. I lost money because I was overconfident. That can't exist with that at the same time. The next thing I want to talk about is why you can't stop trading when you're already up. You already made money and you can't stop. This is really the real problem, and I want to talk about this because why can't you stop when you're green? If you've already made money, why can't you stop? And I hear it all the time as the word greed. I used to call it greed. It's not really greed. It's attachment to feeling like you're winning. And you can't feel like you're winning if you stop. You're attached to feeling of being in sync with the market. You're attached to the feeling of being right. You're attached to the feeling of today is my day. I'm making so much money. You never want that feeling to stop. So you keep trading. Eventually the market will close anyways. So if the market's going to close anyways, then you're going to have to stop at some point. But even when the quality of a setup drops, even when your emotional state is going to shift, and even when your rules say that you should stop, you don't stop because it feels too good to stop. And that's exactly why you should stop. Some people think there's never enough. And this is the part that nobody really wants to hear, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that there's never enough in trading. No amount of money will ever make you feel complete. If you make $500 today, you'll want $1,000 on your next trade. If you make $1,000, you'll make $2,500 on your next trade. If you make $5,000, then you'll just simply want $10,000 on the next trade. That desire is never going to end. Don't you understand that? So if you don't consciously set your own limits, which means to think about it, consciously set your own limits, the market will set them for you and charge you market tuition for the hassle. It will. And it's going to set them violently and charge you market tuition for that. And you don't want to pay market tuition when you already know how to trade. So the hidden reason that you overtrade, I want to discuss this too. You do not overtrade because you love trading. You overtrade because you do not trust yourself to be done and to stay off the charts. You think when you close the charts, you'll probably open them back up. You don't actually believe within you that was enough for today. You actually believe I should make more while it's working because tomorrow there might not be a setup. Next week there might not be a setup. If I'm making money now, I gotta stay in and make more money. And this is the belief that is going to literally kill you because markets don't care about your momentum. This happy-go-lucky ride that you're on, they don't care. They don't care that you're feeling hot. They don't care that you're locked in. They don't care. They will flip on you whenever they feel like it. And especially if you're feeling hot, feeling all this stuff, you're not going to see it when the flip is there. You're going to be blinded. So don't blind yourself. Ending on a good note means this. You stop while you still feel good. You don't stop when you feel euphoric and your ego is on a million and you're on cloud 10, right? Not when you feel invincible and like you're Superman or Superwoman. You just quit when you feel satisfied and you feel good and you feel calm and you feel neutral. This is something this is something a lot of people can't even do in their real lives, because that emotional state is the one thing that is going to carry you forward cleanly into your next trades. That's the state you want to start tomorrow from. You do not want to start trading that next trade or that next trading day from hype and desperation and regret and all these other things, because guess what? You're going to lose your money. And like I said before, your account balance is not your money until you send it to your bank account. It's not realized yet. So this is why this is a psychological skill. It has nothing to do with money at all. It has everything to do with identity. Who are you when things are going really well? When you've had 4 wins in a row? Are you someone who can actually stop and actually decide to not trade that next day, to give yourself a break to breathe? Or do you always push? Do you always need to brute force, right? That answer to that question is going to determine your equity curve, aka how much money you leave with as your P&L at the end of the month. Your bills do not take ego as a payment. And I'm going to say it again because it matters. And I don't want to say it once and let it slip. Your bills do not take ego as transaction. You can feel like a genius and still be broke. I see it. You can feel like you crushed it and still give it all back tomorrow. The only thing that matters is what you keep. The only thing that matters is the amount of money that is in your P&L at the end of the week and at the end of the month. I want to talk about the real definition of discipline. Discipline is not taking trades. Discipline is stopping. Discipline is not brute forcing it when you know you need to stop. And that's the part that you might not want to practice and you might not feel like it's necessary for you, because stopping, again, feels like weakness. It feels like you're leaving money on the table. But what you're actually leaving on the table is future loss. You're literally just leaving your losses on the table and taking your money. Wouldn't you want to do that? And I want to explain why this is so hard. And it's hard because trading is going to hijack your dopamine. Winning feels amazing if you let it. Being right feels amazing if you let it. I had to stop letting those things feel amazing to me. Seeing green numbers feels amazing. I don't even have colors on my trading platforms. I turned all of it to white, black, and gray, right? Because what happens is when you see all those things, your brain doesn't want that to end. It invents and convinces you to have reasons to keep trading. I've heard it from the mouth of my students. It's still a good setup. I'm in the zone. I can make more. I'm already on momentum. Those are not rational thoughts. Those are dopamine protective thoughts. So your body and your brain can keep rolling on dopamine. But actually, the reward is money. You don't need ego or dopamine. You need the money. So this is the survival reframe I want to give you that's going to probably likely change everything if you want to apply it. Your job is not to make money in trading. Your job is to survive. Simply, your money that you make, money is the byproduct of survival. And every time you protect your account, you win. You're not leaving money on the table, you're leaving your losses on the table. Here is a practical application where you may have been waiting for. Here's what this actually looks like in practice. Imagine this. So you make money, you start to feel good, and then you stop. That's it. There's not much else to it, and then you can bank the money and go spend it. Not, I want to take one more trade. I need $1 more. I'll reduce my risk so that I can just convince myself I should keep trading. If I'm not risking as much as I usually do, I'm being safe. It's not that you're just gonna watch it and wait to enter. You're just gonna keep looking at the charts. No, just close the laptop and stop. And why gratitude fixes over trading is because it's a mechanical thing. It is spiritual, but it is also mechanical. Gratitude literally says, this is enough. That sentence alone would save most accounts and could literally save every blown account from never happening to you in the future, or at least reduce them by 50 to 75%. The truth I want you to hear is you do not need more trades. You need better trades. You need better endings to your trades. That's something you really should work towards in this year of 2026. And I put together a private training that you can watch right now. It is the first link in the description box. I show you how to actually set up real stopping points that actually work, that you can walk away with 3 things you can implement immediately to your trading to apply everything you just watched in this video. So one good day doesn't turn into a drawdown. Join me there and I'll walk you through the full lesson for free. Once we walk through the free lesson, I'll also show you how to do this for yourself every single day, and you'll be able to learn how to implement this for yourself for real forever. So learn how to end on a good note, and it will change your entire trading life. One loss does not blow an account. It's what happens after the loss that blows your account. This video is about something almost no trader is taught directly, how emotion carries forward when nothing is there to stop it. And it sounds like such a soft topic that makes little to no difference, but I'm telling you, the traders I work with have done a complete 180, because the first loss isn't the real damage. It's the shift it causes internally. So when you take a small loss, it's fine. Mathematically, you didn't blow the account, but it shifts you inwards. And after the first loss, something subtle really happens. You start to feel very lost. You start to feel very off. You feel behind. You feel like you need to fix something. That is our human nature in our brain saying, I need to fix it. And the only way your brain knows how to fix a loss is to go back and make another trade. And that feeling does not disappear just because the trade is over. Just because the day is now a new day doesn't automatically make you a new trader. You have to consciously do this stuff. So instead of stopping, you keep trading. Not because the setup was really great, but it's because when you stop trading, it feels worse because now you can't fix what you want to fix. And so now you're no longer trading the market. You're trading the feelings, and you're trading how you feel about a trade that's already gone, and likely a trading day or a trading week that's already in the past. If you think about, I have my Starbucks here today. If you think about spilling your coffee on yourself in the morning before work, right? For those of you who have a job, the spill is not the catastrophic part. But now you spilt it on your shirt, you're probably going to be late. So you feel rushed, you feel distracted. You're like, dang, this is not part of my morning. Now you feel so annoyed. And after that, everything else in your day is going to suffer. All of a sudden, you reach all the red lights, and now your boss wants to have a meeting with you, right? But that is exactly what happens in trading. It's not the small loss. It's everything that happens after it based on your emotional state when that loss happens, when that coffee spills. So again, most traders are aware of this. You know how to trade. You're aware of this because you journal. Oh, I revenge traded. Oh, this was emotional. I should have stopped right here. I should have got out right there. In your journaling, your awareness is never going to be the solution. Ever. Most stable traders do not push through bad days. They stop early. This is what we do. When we feel like we are becoming unstable, the laptops close. It's not because we're weak. It's because we understand momentum. And that if we keep trading, when do you stop? There has to be something that interrupts that behavior. So if you've ever thought, oh, I should have stopped after that first loss, I want you to comment the words first one. Because if you should have stopped before that first loss, why didn't you? You knew it. But one bad trade does not define the entire trading day. It's what you allow after the loss. Whatever follows that is what actually dictates everything else. Engineering your wins in trading. My last video about red flags that quietly destroy your trading account. This video is the other half of that conversation because it's one thing to see a problem and it's a totally different thing to actually install a solution to that problem. And most traders hear the word neutral and they think it's a personality trait. And it's just not. Like, you really think I'm just not emotional. I'm naturally calm. I'm wired for this. I'm made different. I'm built different. And that is literally not how it works. Neutrality is how your system is built. And if your system is built incorrectly, there's no amount of discipline. Hear this, there's no amount of discipline or mindset talk that will save you. In my last video, I talked about red flags like emotional wins, brushing off your losses, trading to feel something, urgency after drawdown. That's all I'm gonna say here. You need to watch that video in detail. Again, it is linked here up in the corner. Now, those things are not character flaws. They are signals that your structure is missing. In this video, I'm going to talk exactly what that actually means and show you how neutral traders actually build neutrality as a skill, and it's not something that you have to force. It just becomes the default. It becomes who you are, right? So the first step is neutrality is created by math first, not mindset. Math over mindset. And this is where people get this so backwards because they think they can think their way to being calm. A lot of traders tell themselves, I'm not going to revenge trade. I'm going to stay disciplined. I'm going to stick to a plan. But if your sizing is wrong, if you're leveraging too much money, if you think that having margin or having access to margin or leverage automatically makes you think that you'll be able to handle it, you're wrong. Because your nervous system is going to override that mindset every single time. It doesn't matter what you're thinking in your head. Your nervous system is going to overshadow that. So if one loss feels really heavy, if one red shifts your entire mindset, if one bad trade makes you feel really bad, that is not emotional weakness. There's no way to discipline yourself through that. It's just that your risk is too big for your nervous system. And neutral traders don't feel calm because we're special. We feel calm because one trade cannot hurt us emotionally or structurally. So the first way that neutrality is built is so simple. Your sizing of your trades so small that urgency cannot exist. So if urgency is possible, neutrality is impossible. That is what I want you to remember with step one. Now, step two, you want to design your account so nothing needs to be fixed. This ties directly to the red flags video that you can watch here. One of the biggest problems I talked about in that video is the need to bounce back. The feeling of, I need to get this money back. I need to fix what I just did. And neutral traders, we just don't feel that feeling. It's not because we don't care about money. I personally care about my P&L a lot, my monthly P&L specifically, but it's because our structure never actually creates a hole in our trading. So we don't allow one trade to put us behind or damage our confidence or trigger urgency or change our behavior. We just design our system so that losses are already absorbed emotionally. And that is not discipline. It is architecture. It's literally engineering your wins in trading. So if your account design requires emotional strength to survive, it's not designed for consistency because you're a human. I hope that didn't go over your head. If your account design requires you to be emotionally strong to survive, it's not designed for consistency. So here's step three. You treat your internal state like your edge. This is honestly where advanced traders are separated because in being a neutral trader, you don't just check the charts. We check ourselves. We know that if I'm tired, I'm not neutral. If I'm rushing, I'm not neutral. If I'm stressed, I'm not neutral. We understand there can't be overlapping or incoherent things. We understand that if I'm emotionally charged, I'm not neutral. And so we just don't trade. It's not a punishment. It's not, you don't deserve to trade. It's literally protection of our account because we respect neutrality way more than an opportunity. And this is the part I want to say because I get comments on my page. There's this feeling of needing to make money or go in to make a trade. It's because you actually respect opportunities more than you respect your actual neutral behavior. So what we understand is that missing a trade is cheaper than trading misaligned, period. And this directly is going to solve multiple red flags from that first video. I recommend you go watch it. And you're no longer brushing off your internal state. At that point, you're building the internal state into your rules. They're baked in, so you never have to worry about it. Step number 4 to becoming a neutral trader is removing emotional spikes on green days. This is so big because us neutral traders do not celebrate wins emotionally. It's not because we're boring people. I might be boring, who knows? But y'all aren't boring. It's because we're trading emotional consistency. I'm not going to let a green day become an emotional event, period. Why? Because whatever you emotionally reinforce, your nervous system is going to want that again. So when you train excitement around the outcome of winning, now you're always chasing the next win. And subconsciously, you chase that feeling over and over and over. And guess what that leads to? Sometimes it leads to green, but 99% of the time it leads to overtrading, oversizing, forcing your setups. Neutral trader, let the wins be data, not dopamine. My green days are simply green days in my trading log, in my trading data. They don't really matter to me. I care about realizing those funds to my bank account. Step number 5 is normalizing losses instead of personalizing them. This is the secondary to what we just talked about. So in the red flags video, I talk about how some people blame the market or they dismiss losses casually, but neutral traders, we do neither of the two. We study without emotional charge, and we ask questions. We study our trades, we study our previous action, our previous positions, right? And we say, was it the market or was it me? And we adjust based on structure, not on identity. So what this means is, what I'll do is I'll pull up my monthly P&L. I will go through all of my trades and I'll look at my data sheets and I'll look at all of my data and I will say, were these wins because I was actually trading who I was supposed to be? Were these losses because I wasn't who I was supposed to be? Or was it just a bad win? And that's how I go through my data. I don't say I'm bad, I suck, all these red days are bad. I say my process needs refinement. That keeps the ego out of it. The ego is gone. And that keeps neutrality intact. So step number 6 to becoming a neutral trader is build routines that protect your nervous system, because neutrality is fragile if it's not protected. Neutral traders, we have very boring habits. Consistent routines, consistent gym routines, consistent sleep, consistent breaks, limited screen time, clear trading rules. And it's not because I'm so strict with myself, it's because I understand that my nervous system is my execution engine. So if I burn out, then my strategy doesn't matter. You can have a 600% gain sitting as an opportunity and you completely miss it because of this. There's no way to out trade that. Your nervous system is your execution engine. You do not want to burn it out, because it doesn't matter what you do, your strategy won't matter. This is exactly what most people miss after watching the red flags video. They see the behavior, but they don't change the structure. You went through the 10 red flags and you saw yourself in 3 or 4 of them, but you don't change the structure. So in my free private training, I walk you through how to build this, actually understanding the design behind your rules and how to create a system that makes all this automatic. It's the first thing in the description box. If you want to go deeper and watch that whenever you're ready, you can grab a coffee and watch it. It's about 15 minutes. With actionable tools you can actually walk away with and use starting on your next trading day. So step number 7 is you stop needing to feel like a trader. This one is so subtle, but some people trade to feel like they're in the game, like that you are this thing that's called a trader. And neutral traders don't need to feel like traders. We don't need action. We don't need validation. We don't need to trade because we want to. We only trade when the conditions are right. That's it. When identity is not attached. Because when identity is not attached, your neutrality becomes easy. So the real thing I want you to take from this video, if you haven't taken notes already, I recommend taking notes at this part. Neutrality is not emotional suppression. It is emotional irrelevance. Your emotions do not run the process because the process was built to not require them. So they're literally irrelevant. That's why neutral traders look really calm. It's not because we're calm people. Maybe I am. But there's nothing in my trading system that threatens me enough to go into an emotional swing anymore. And this is what I didn't have before. So I want you to take this because it took me months to figure this stuff out. So if you watched the red flags video and you thought, I see myself in about 3 or 4 of those, that's definitely me. I want you to think that that's a good thing. It's an opportunity to fix it. And this video was the opportunity. This video is how you fix it. So go back and watch this video 2 or 3 times and don't try harder. Just build a smarter system using what I literally gave you in this video for structure, because structure is going to beat willpower every single time. And if you want the full framework for building neutrality as a skill, not as a personality trait, I walk through it step by step in that private training. It is free. It's really short. It's like 15 minutes. You can watch it tomorrow while you're eating breakfast. And it's very practical. So the link for it is the first thing in the description box. Most traders end every single trade the same way. You check your P&L. You check if it's green or red. You check if it was a win or loss. And then you move on with your day. And that's the problem, because money tells you nothing. It does not tell you anything. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why your P&L and money at the end of the day does not tell you anything. It tells you nothing about who is actually in control. And there's one actionable thing you can do to change this right now. So after every trade, ask yourself, did I trade as the version of myself that I respect? Or did I trade as the version of myself that wanted relief? So I'm going to explain what relief means, but this question makes you very uncomfortable, or it should make you uncomfortable, because it removes the hiding places. A win does not protect you in your trading. Relief trading is when you take a loss and you think you're going into the next trade or the next trading day calm and controlled and professional, you know what you're doing, but really you're just trying to find relief because underneath it's driven by urgency. You need to feel okay again. You need to prove to yourself that that loss wasn't part of your identity, and that you need to prove yourself that you know how to trade. You need to prove yourself that you can escape a certain discomfort that you may have had from taking a previous loss. But I'm here to tell you the most dangerous trades are relief trades that win. Because if you win that trade where you're trying to get money back, it reinforces behavior that eventually destroys your consistency. Identity aligned trades often feel very boring because they do not give you any dopamine. They don't validate your ego. They don't make you feel heroic. Oh, I broke through. I know how to trade. None of that is there. There's no arrogance that comes from it. They just compound, and money is the reward. Honestly, when you're a trader, money should be your reward. But it's more about something deeper, because most traders evaluate their performance based on the outcome. Did I win or did I lose? But those who are consistent long term evaluate based on behavior. Who was I trading as? That's literally the question. Who was in charge here? Was it my logic or was it my emotion? Was it structure or was it impulse? And you have to ask yourself these deeper questions, because the answer can really lie very deep. But most traders avoid this because it's honest without a reward. There is no dopamine. There is no external validation. There is no feeling like you're the best trader on earth. There's none of that. It's just about the truth. But identity drives behavior. And until your identity is addressed, strategy is not going to change anything. And if you do change your strategy, it's not going to last. The practice and the backtesting and the journaling is not going to fix your trading. It doesn't fix your trading. It aligns behavior with who you say you want to be as a trader. And that alignment is what creates the consistency. So if you've noticed that you're a trader who already knows how to trade, yet you still keep blowing accounts, I want to invite you into watching the private training in the description. It is the first link in the description, because this is not a flaw. This happens to almost every trader and is a part of your journey that I don't hear talked about a lot, and I invite you to watch that training. I want you to comment down below, have you ever avoided asking yourself this question? You may have thought about it, but you have avoided wanting to answer this question because you thought ending the day green or ending the week green or ending the month green meant more than your behavior. I definitely want to hear that. I'll be down there in the comments reading your stories, but also responding. So I'll see you there. You will pay market tuition for the same mistake 10,000 times, and the market doesn't care. There's no limit on how many times you can pay for a mistake. Like, you're in the game of protecting your neutrality. You get paid for doing that. You get paid. And that is how your accounts are going to slowly bleed by 1,000 paper cuts. You lose all of your humility and neutrality, which are the two things that you need to be a profitable trader. Talk about yourself on a red day and how you talk about yourself on a green day is literally the split that's dangerous. Let me say something that might sound a tiny bit uncomfortable at first, but most day traders do not blow their trading accounts because of strategy. They blow their accounts because of who they are while they trade. Not who you think you are, not who you say you are, but who you actually are in a moment during your trades. And this can be emotionally, energetically, and most importantly, behaviorally and habitually. And I want to talk through some red flags that I've seen over and over that quietly tell me that account is most definitely in danger this month. And it's not because you are dumb, it's not because you're lazy or you're not disciplined. That's not a good excuse. And it's really not the real reason. It's because your internal state is not aligned with what the environment actually requires. And I did not just make these up. These are patterns that I've watched in real time while being in large trading communities, while teaching my own trading students, while having my own coaches, literally with traders who have experience. My friends who are traders, with people all across the board who technically know better, and yet they still carry the same behaviors that almost guarantee instability every single time. So I want you to listen to this, not to judge anybody else, but to see if you recognize yourself in any of what I'm about to say. Because if you can catch it really early, then that's great, because you can fix it early. So the first red flag is you blame the market on a red day and then you praise yourself on a green day. This is a huge one. When you have a red day, it's the market was choppy. There was some news that came out, and sometimes the market is choppy. Sometimes there is some news that just randomly comes out. Other things like, oh, it just reversed on me. Oh, that's just trading. This is just the cost of business, right? All of these things can be justified, but let's be honest. You say that when it's a red day, but then when you have a green day, it's, I didn't make any mistakes. I executed perfectly. My patience is elite. I know what I'm doing. I'm so in sync with the market. And the split between those two, between how you talk about yourself on a red day and how you talk about yourself on a green day, is literally the split that's dangerous, because it tells me something about your identity. It tells me that you are taking ownership when it feels good. You're taking ownership of the profits when it feels good, and giving away ownership when it feels bad. And that means that you are not actually neutral. You're not actually aligned. You're protecting your self-image instead of studying your behavior. And real alignment is going to look like something like this, right? You have a green day and you're going to say, what did I do right structurally? What are the things that I did that resulted in this in my behavior? And then when you have a red day, you're going to say, well, what did I do wrong structurally? What actually happened? Not asking yourself that stuff emotionally, not blaming yourself, not with the drama, because that is where I used to actually talk about myself in a really bad way, because I knew how to trade, but I would have a red day and I would blame everything but myself. And then when I started to look towards myself, I could only do it through shame. But I want us to start talking to ourselves through structure, because if you can't look at a red day and calmly say, here's exactly what happened. I was off internally. I skipped XYZ steps. I didn't follow the procedure. I did not do what I was supposed to do. If you can't do that, then you're setting yourself up to literally repeat it. We have many red flags to go that I'm going to explain so deeply. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on other videos just like this. The second red flag is You celebrate wins extremely emotionally. This one is so subtle, but it is huge. You get really hyped after a win. You get amped up. You start playing music. You start feeling like you're the one. You're on one. You start feeling this spike of emotion. Your energy just goes to cloud 11. We're not on cloud 9. We're on cloud 11. All right. When that happens, that means your nervous system is attached to an outcome. And at that moment, when you attach to an outcome, you lose all of your humility and neutrality, which are the two things that you need to be a profitable trader as far as your internal state. So here's actually what most people don't want to hear. Is that if you're emotionally high when you're green, you will be emotionally low when you're red. It's not a personal thing. It's literally how we're wired as humans. In our nervous system, you cannot train your system to only spike in one direction. You cannot try to be neutral when it's red and then always be happy when it's green, or vice versa. And you can't expect it to not swing in the other direction, because neutral traders don't get high on a win. We don't get crushed by losses. We actually do care about our trades a lot. I care about my monthly P&L a lot. But it's because I actually understand the fundamentals of it, that when your emotion spikes, you create future emotional debt. And I'm going to explain that, right? When you're celebrating an outcome and you're playing music and you're getting amped and you're riding that high, that is the red flag. It's not because wins are bad. It's because you're attaching your emotions to the outcome instead of the behavior that led you there. Who was I being? What did I just say I was going to do that I did? What rules did I follow? That is what you need to be focused on, not the actual numbers or the win. And the attachment to the outcome is going to show up in the next drawdown. Red flag number 3 is you brush off your losses casually. This one looks so mature on the surface. I've seen experienced traders do this, but it's actually not mature from my viewpoint. This is just me and my own ideal, right? When you have statements like, oh, well, it just happens, it's just trading, I lost 3K, whatever, the market just reversed, who cares? It sounds very mature on the surface. It sounds very calm, but it's actually avoidance, literally. Because what you're doing is you're skipping your internal audit. That behavior that you had that made that red happen, that made that red trade manifest, you're skipping that internal audit. There's a difference between acceptance and dismissal. Acceptance is when you say, I see exactly what happened and I take responsibility for my role. But dismissal says, I don't want to look too closely and I'm just going to move on. I don't actually want to dig deep into what I did wrong or my wrong behaviors. I'm just going to kind of just move on. I don't want to look at that too much. And dismissal allows patterns to live. That's why this also is exposed in your journaling. And you don't need to shame yourself or spiral. You don't need to beat yourself up. None of that actually works. But what you do need to do is bring light to yourself. What were you doing internally? Did you not look at your internal state before you started trading? Did you stop and say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on a high from that big win yesterday. Maybe I should not trade the open. Maybe I shouldn't trade New York Open. Maybe not. Did you ask yourself about your patience level? Oh, I just got in a big argument and I tried to separate that and not look too closely at how that could affect my trading, but I went ahead and traded anyways, knowing that I can't really separate the two things, right? Did you talk about your execution? What did you violate on your own standard and your own rules? And if you skip all those things, you're teaching your system that misalignment is normal. And that misalignment is what you're going to continue to repeat. And that is how your accounts are going to slowly bleed by 1,000 paper cuts. The fourth red flag is that you don't take your internal state seriously. This is one of the biggest ones. Oh my goodness. If you trade while you're tired and you're agitated and you're distracted, or you had a really bad trading day and you treat it like it doesn't matter, that is a red flag. And it's because your internal state is part of your edge. It literally is the edge, BTW. Everybody knows support and resistance. Everybody knows supply and demand. Trading is not just the charts. Your edge is literally who you are as a person. It's either calls or puts. It's really not that much of a complicated system. It's who you're being. So yes, your internal state is literally your edge. If you don't check your momentum internally, you're gambling your execution. And trading is not just the charts, it's decision making under uncertainty. Either your nervous system is stable enough to do it or it isn't, but if you wouldn't trust yourself to make huge life decisions while you're in that type of state, why would you trust yourself with capital in a trading account? It doesn't make sense. Neutrality is not a luxury, it is a requirement of your trading. Red flag number 5 is you're trading to feel something. This one is super silent, but a lot of people trade to feel powerful and feel like they're active and feel like they're doing something, or maybe you're just bored. Or maybe you feel some type of stress and you just want to see some green numbers on your screen. All of that is a red flag. And personally, I've turned all the colors off of my trading platforms. You can just change them to gray, black, and white. And what that's helped me to do is, one, be way more profitable, more than I ever could have understood.